On this week's Ring of Honor, who are the most overhyped prospects in Senators history?
This is Brady Kachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Pacific Pilsy, still hanging tent out on Vancouver Island. It is a Ring of Honor, and we're pleased to be joined by a special guest. You know him on social media at Sens Prospects. Henry Brown is with us to do the most overhyped prospects in Senators history. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Need last-minute tickets? Get them for the lowest prices at Gametime. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Today is Friday, August 15th, and Pilsy, congratulations. That was one heck of a victory. I have to tip my cap.
Yeah, Henry, I don't know if you were following along, but we did a Ring of Honor with Leams Martian, and the voting went up, and I won by literally one vote. So all the people that, not to get too political on this show, although Ross and I are often very political people on this podcast, every vote matters. So go out there and make your vote. And I think every vote's going to matter in this one, Ross, because we kind of put ourselves up against a wall here. We're doing, the topic is overhyped Sens prospects, and we're bringing on Sens prospect. I feel like we're doing a dunk competition, and we invited like Shaquille O'Neal to compete against us. Like, we're just like really testing our strengths here, bringing in the top guy for this. So Henry, I would say good luck to you in this, but I don't think you'll need it. And I'm hoping actually that Ross and I have more luck than you here.
I love it, man. Honored to be here. I will say I voted in that last one. I won't say who I voted for, but, nice to know that your vote makes a difference every now and then. So well said.
Okay. Does that mean you forgot who you voted for?
Can't say.
Okay.
Voted for Martian. This guy definitely voted for Martian.
Well, I know who he's voting for in this one. So if it's a one vote difference, we're coming at you for collusion. Actually, no, we also vote from our own accounts too. So we'll just call it even. But I don't think you can say all these prospects are even. Now, let's lay the ground rules here. Does not have to be an Ottawa Senators draft pick. There's times where you trade for a prospect and it just doesn't work out. I also think that there should, though, be some left to interpretation. Like if a player had started his career really young, but then gets traded, even though he has NHL games, I think it's fair game for him to still be considered a prospect if he's 21 or 22 years old when he came to Ottawa. The example I used, because he obviously wasn't overhyped because he came through, but like Kyle Turris, when he was acquired by Ottawa, I still think would have been in that gray area of being a prospect, even though he had had a bunch of games in Phoenix. So we'll leave it up to the voters.
Yeah,
there's no pandering here other than Pilsy picking all the recency bias votes in last week's. That's all
I don't apologize for winning.
About that?
I apologize for absolutely nothing.
Well, you also get to decide the order because you got the win last week, Pilsy. So what's it going to be here?
What an honor. Oh, my God. I'm just going to soak in this moment for a little, if you guys will allow me. So as the winner of the last Ring of Honor, winning by one vote, a win's a win is a win, as Ross likes to say. The winner, which is me, I won last time, gets to pick the order of the next Ring of Honor. And I'm going to let Henry go first. I don't think, at least in my mind, that there's a clear 1-1. So I want to put a little pressure on him, see what he's cooking up here, see what he thinks is the ultimate one. And then I want to let Ross go. And then I get my back-to-back ones. And then I can kind of watch the draft for a little while I figure my stuff out and hopefully don't ruin my third and fourth pick like I do every single time. Except last time, I don't know if you guys won. Last time I won. If you remember. So I did not ruin my third and fourth picks last time. So should I say the order, or do you want me to wax poetically a little bit more about how I got that win?
Just go ahead, man. I mean, you even had to throw in, like, as Ross likes to say, the runner-up. Come on.
I didn't say runner-up. That's a quote you use all the time. A win is a win is a win. Do you know?
So what? You take my title, then you take my quotes?
It's called paying respect. That was in homage to you.
Okay.
You're a great wordsmith, so I like to use some of your talented vocabulary there. So, without any further ado, the order is Henry, Ross, me.
Okay. Henry.
I think I might have already said that, but I got lost in my own speech there. My bad.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry. The first time isn't always the best time. And you had your first win. The hardest thing to do in sports is repeat. Henry, how do you feel about going first here?
A lot of pressure after that intro too, man. And then I'm going to sit here and watch you guys do the next 4 picks before it gets back to me. So, a lot of pressure. Like I said, I agree. I don't think there's a clear-cut 1-1, but I'm going to make my case.
Okay, well, get after it. Who is the most overhyped Senators prospect in franchise history?
It's really hard to not lean into the recency bias thing. We know that plays well with the crowd, but how do you not pick the prospect who literally had a documentary made about how overhyped he was? It's got to be Alexander Daigle. This guy was, it's heartbreaking, right? He was supposed to be Mario Lemieux 2.0. He was supposed to appeal to the French side of Ottawa and the English side of Ottawa, all these things. And his career was, he had a very respectable career, but it just, if we're talking about the hype, I was only a kid when he was around in this heyday, right? But you watch that doc. If people haven't, go find it, spend the 45 minutes. It's heartbreaking how good he was supposed to be and how much of a slam dunk pick it was, and just to see how it turned out, right? That's why he goes 1-1 for me. Didn't
he enter the draft on a horse-drawn carriage with Jean Beliveau?
Yes.
It's a different era, right? Total theater, early 90s is unreal.
Yeah, that in itself, I think, needs to merit some thought here. Now, you kind of went against yourself a little bit. He had a respectable career.
But no, I think he's prefaced it properly. The hype was so much higher than what he actually produced. The hype was insane for Alexander Daigle.
No, the hype was Hollywood, and he ended up in a Hollywood documentary.
Yeah. I think that was the right pick, Henry. I think that's a good pick. The hype was insane. Like you said, not that recent, and maybe newer Sens fans won't be able to attach to this, but hopefully that documentary will help educate some of the newer Sens fans, because the hype was insane for this guy.
Yeah, it was. And the hype on this show for my pick was, I think, equal to Alexandre Daigle. And I'm so happy Pilsy let me go before him. I don't even know if Pilsy would take him, because I don't know if he's accepted the truth. But my first round pick will be Eric Brandstrom as the most overhyped Senators prospect, because when you trade Mark Stone at 26 years old, and you don't even get a first round pick in return, the prospect is the only first round pick, and this wasn't a rental. Mark Stone signed an extension and was named captain moments after he got traded. The GM comes out and says these players don't become available. They don't become available, but you won't give up a first round pick. That's because getting Eric Brandstrom was the Senators general manager's proudest day on the job. This was the man that pitched drafting Erik Karlsson, who was my best first round pick in franchise history just last week on the Ring of Honor. So Eric Brandstrom, no brainer choice here as the most overhyped prospect in Senators history. Pilsy, any thoughts?
I was going to take him next pick. So that is the correct pick. The guy's playing in Switzerland right now. NHL teams couldn't wait to get rid of him last year. As much as I still think there was value in the versatility, which was always my point. I never
being a forward?
Well, he played some time at forward. So, yep, that's great argument, Ross. I never said he was the be-all, end-all. I never said he was amazing, but I just said he had value in his versatility. But, yeah, the guy's nickname was the Branchise. He was
good in Belleville too. That adds to the hype. He came in and then he helped that team. It's unfortunate COVID canceled out the end of the season where that team was stacked, and he was a big part of it after coming in, but never was able to get his feet steady at the NHL level, despite what some micro statistics may have told you. Pilsy, your third overall pick, now that you have to take off the plans you had. And you picked the order, by the way, so...
Yeah, I'm not upset. Those were two good picks. I'm going to get the player I was going to pick fourth, so I'll just go here. And this is a guy that is recent enough that Sens fans should know. Someone, Ross, that we were probably a part of this hype train as well, because we got to see him boots on the ground when he played in Belleville. Nothing like having a tall, big centerman with smooth hands that lights up the OHL, and then he gets to Belleville and he continues his success. Logan Brown was a prospect that was very hyped, and when you saw the size, you saw the hands, he had a good shot. He was successful in his time in the OHL, and then Ross, we thought watching him in Belleville, like, oh my God, the success continues here. And unfortunately, the injury issues was a big part of why he wasn't able to kind of take that leap. He was kind of stuck at where he was at. I don't know if necessarily if he would have stayed healthy, if he would have been able to figure it out either, because he spent some time in St. Louis after he was traded, and he got a decent amount of games there, but didn't really pop off. So Logan Brown, for me, is certainly an overrated or overhyped, I should say, Senators prospect. And fun fact, drafting him was the first trade Pierre Dorion ever made as general manager of the Ottawa Senators, trading up to select him in the draft. So Logan Brown, my pick.
Man, I'm with you on this one too. I thought about taking him at 1-1. Like, I contributed to the hype too. This guy was like a highlight reel in the OHL, in the AHL. It was like, he just seemed like such a unicorn, right? And from day one too, he had his detractors online. Like, I find like a lot of guys come in and it's like, yes, this is our guy, we love him. Like Tyler Boucher is another one comes to mind. What people sort of hammered him from the start. I thought the same thing with Logan Brown, but I went to bat for him right up until the very end, man. Go back and look up on YouTube the Logan Brown hype video. I made one. It's legit. This guy was, he was so solid. So what could have been?
The one thing I'll say is that the injuries were always kind of lingering, right? Like, you kind of thought, hey, if he can put it together. It wasn't like he was doing it every single night. Like, the year after Ottawa drafted him, he only played 35 games. He had 40 points. Like, I agree with you guys. Exactly, he was unreal. And like, the way he could kind of position himself and rip the puck and dangle for a guy that big, I just was always a little hesitant to get fully sold based on that fact. Now, he also made the Ottawa Senators at 19 years old. And then when he went back, he was ridiculous in the playoffs for Kitchener, 27 points in 19 games there. And I just, it is unfortunate. It is. And what he ended up playing with Ottawa, he had the real one chance he had was when they were at their absolute worst, that 2019-2020 season where he had 1 goal in 23 games with Ottawa. And he was getting top 6 minutes. Like, that was the year where they didn't really have any NHL centermen once they traded Duchesne. And it was like, okay, like, who's going to get the chance to play in a high versatile role, or high offensive role, I should say. And yeah, he just couldn't make it happen. So good pick, Billsy. To start off round 1, Henry went with the OG first overall pick, Alexandre Ledaig. I went with Eric Brancher, and Pilsy's got Logan Brown. Second round of this draft is on the other side. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Well, live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% with their killer last-minute deals. If you're tired of endless scrolling, trying to find the best deals, Gametime has zone deals that pick the best seats in your section for you. You ever wonder what the view will look like? I love doing this before Sens games in particular. The panoramic seat view is a great feature on Gametime. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets and shows and concerts, everything. If it's got a ticket, go check out Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL. That's LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Welcome back to the Ring of Honor. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and at Sens Prospects. You're already following him on all social media at Sens Prospects. You can find the show at Sens Central, where the voting will go live on Friday. And have your say as well. Who did we miss? Because with the draft being 7 rounds every year, and it used to be even more, there's plenty of opportunities to hype up prospects. Maybe they do well after the draft, and you think, oh man, what if this guy could become an NHL star? And they never do. Pilsy, I was almost going to say you never do come through with the Ring of Honor, but you have taken that smell right off of you. You got the championship smell, and you've also got the next pick here with the snake style draft coming back around.
So this one, you taking Branny changed my plan here. So I hummed and hawed about this, but I think I'm going to go with it just because the resume he built kind of overhyped him rather than kind of his highlight packs or hype packs or everything like his skills, his attributes, the potential that you saw. But I'm going to go with someone that was drafted in 2013 in the first round, 17th overall, Curtis Lazar. Curtis Lazar came into the Ottawa Senators 2013, like I mentioned, but he had a really good final season in the WHL, 76 points, which maybe doesn't pop off of you, but consider he got those 76 points in 58 games. He scored 41 goals in 58 games. And then in the playoffs with the Oil Kings, he had 22 points in 21 games. Also played on Team Canada, the World Juniors, point per game, 7 points, 7 games.
Captain, too, of that banger team.
Nope, you're ahead of yourself there. Because then he went, that was his first World Junior stint, Ross, what I mentioned, 7-7. And then he went to the Ottawa Senators, and Team Canada said, hey, we would love to have Curtis Lazar on Team Canada. And the Sens were like, well, we're kind of hoping to have him here. So we're going to have to work something out here. Maybe if you make him captain of the team, we'll consider letting him go. And they named him captain of that World Junior team, and he gets 9 points in 7 games with them as well. And then, unfortunately, so his first year, 15 points, 67 games, not popping off like crazy, but he's a rookie. It's okay. Second season, again, just 6 goals in 76 games, finishes with 20 points, ups the points a little bit. But it was 2016, 2017, guys, where in 33 games with the Sens, 0 goals and 1 assist. There was that Twitter account, did Curtis Lazar score? And just every night he would just tweet no, period. And that was it. That's where all his tweets, no, period, for 33 straight games. Now I feel bad about this because he was a great kid, great smile. His moment picking up the hamburger, eating it off the ice during the Hamburglar run. And he's carved out a nice career for himself. I don't know if you guys know this or are aware, but Curtis Lazar has played 572 NHL games. Now he's kind of a fourth line guy, but he knows his role and he plays it well now. But after his big final season in the WHL, being captain of Team Canada, first round pick for the Sens, the hype was there and he really fell off. So I'm going to go Curtis Lazar here.
Yeah, I don't mind that pick. I just have such fond memories of him during the Hamburglar run. He was on that shutdown line, wasn't it, with Jean-Gabriel Pageau and Eric Condra? I feel like Mike Hoffman played on that line for a little bit when he was starting to get his scoring touch and obviously had to move up. But I just have fond memories there. But yeah, when you go back to what he produced offensively in junior, the hype train was real. When you're the captain of a team with Connor McDavid and all the other highly skilled players they had on that 2015 Team Canada World Junior squad, yeah, the hype's going to grow really quickly, and especially when it was in Toronto too. So I like that pick. That's a great pick, Billsy.
Thank you.
When you said it, I was actually like, was it a good pick? But you sold it very well.
Nice.
You sold it very well. I'm sticking with the perpetual rebuild that happened in 2019 for my next pick. And I just, there's so many facets. So I'll make the pick first. My next pick's Vitaly Abramov Abracadabramov. Pillsy, the first year we did our organizational value rankings, we had him 16th in the entire organization in value.
Yeah.
We thought this guy was going to be an offensive weapon after the way he played in the QMJHL. Over 100 points with Gatineau in 2016-17. Then he had over 100 points the next year, split between Gatineau and Victoriaville. I just felt like this was a player that was going to come in and be an electrifying offensive talent. And the fact that they got him in the Matt Duchene trade, which now looking back, the Senators made 2 trades with Columbus in a week and got more for Ryan Dzingel than they did for Matt Duchene because of how far Vitaly Abramov fell in the hierarchy of prospects and so quickly. But he even had his moments in Belleville where I think that's what really like solidified the hype train for me, was that despite being 5'10", and maybe that's on his tippy toes, he was able at pro hockey with that loaded Belleville team to put up 41 points in 51 games. It was a plus 18. He was dangling. He was making plays. So I felt like once he proved that he could do it in pro hockey, that he would be able to translate that to the NHL. But it never happened, despite him only getting minimal opportunity, 5 games played, split over 3 years. It just never materialized. And now he's a 2-time Gagarin Cup champ in the KHL.
Man, what a blast from the past. He was definitely in my queue for a pick later on. I love it. He's a guy that is just like so prone to cold streaks. He still is too. Like it'll pop up sometime in the past year. He was like leading the KHL in scoring for the month, and everyone's like, the Sens still have his rights, you know. And then he'll go like 6 weeks without a point. I remember that Belleville season. He was like the best player on the team in stretches too, and I think he picked up a goal at least in one of his.
He did one goal.
You know, so happy for him on that. And, you know, that's a guy, next time you get Scott Wheeler on the show too, I know he loved Abramov too, right?
He had him in his prospects that I was wrong about segment.
Yeah. You get it, right? Like there was so much to like there.
I'm going to do a play-by-play of his only NHL goal. Nikita Zaitsev skates it up, rings it around the boards at center. In goes Scott Sabourin on the forecheck, centers to Vitaly Abramov. So his only NHL goal is assisted by Scott Sabourin and Nikita Zaitsev. And there was no goalie in the net. He went out to play it and mishandled it. So he shot it into an open cage. Henry, I think you could have scored that one.
That sounds like a fever dream, man. That's crazy.
Okay, so that's my second pick. And now, Henry, after being patient, you're up next.
Okay, so definitely the franchise was who I was hoping would fall to me here, but great pick chance. At 1-2, no chance, exactly. Okay, so I'm going to go with a guy who actually got me back into the Sens prospects account. This is from the 2015 draft. Around 2017, I was like, okay, we gotta start posting about these guys again. It's going to be first round pick Colin White.
Okay.
Is another guy who, you know, you can argue, you can make the case that, you know, he's had a somewhat respectable career. I will say the Sens were playing the Penguins once this year, and I had no clue he was still in the NHL and playing for them, or the Sharks. I can't even remember, but
he was with the Penguins before. Now he's if you're going to be in the AHL, San Jose is probably a pretty decent place to do that. He's going into his second season there.
That's it. But you got to take yourself back to that World Junior Championship where it was like him and Shabbat were like the best 2 players. Colin White was a goal a game. And that snowballed into his season ending early at Boston College. He got knocked out. And it's like the Sens are like, we had Colin White watch. He was in Binghamton.
Yep. Got
recalled at the end of the season, shot in the shootout against the Red Wings. Like we thought he was like the black ace that would save us in the playoffs too.
Got into 1 game in the playoffs.
Right. So like the hype was real. And then it led into, you think of that hype, and then his contract got bought out. So like,
yeah, you can put him in the Zach Smith and even Pajot, and obviously Pajot's had a great career since, but like guys that Mark Stone single-handedly gave them generational wealth.
Absolutely.
Well,
and that season, started, wasn't it? It was Brady, White, and Stone.
Yeah, they were the line, and he put up big points, and he started the, oh my God, we're actually gonna hold guys down. We're going to draft really good players and keep them, because he signed that big deal. And all of us were like, oh, thank God. Like, we were worried he was going to go through his entry level and then refuse to re-sign, and then we're just screwed. But he was like, no, I'm staying here. And all of us were like, nice. We locked down Colin White.
Come on.
You know,
and never materialized. And yeah, bought out at 1/3. They're still paying him for, I think, 2 or 3 more seasons. So it's a great pick. The first pick that's still on the Sens payroll. Will we have more? Those will be decided next. You're listening to the Ring of Honor, presented by Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictors. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. I know Pilsy's all over the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm not going to go so far as guaranteeing anything for my Chicago Bears, but you know that FanDuel is your place to get in on the action. I'm also looking at futures for the NHL season, and right now the Ottawa Senators total points are set at 94.5. Last year, the Sens had 97 points, so I'm hammering the over at -110 over at FanDuel. You can visit the FanDuel app today and start planning all your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. It's at FanDuel. Play your game. Welcome back to the Ring of Honor. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and at Sens Prospects. You can head to Twitter at Sens Central and vote for which team has the best picks. We will post the link to that poll on our YouTube in the comments, and we will post the graphic everywhere on social media so you guys can get mad at the list and tell us who we missed as well. We have done pretty well, though. I personally think, like, these 6 were all in my top 10. Logan Brown was 10th, Pilsy, but everybody was right on cue. And now Henry's on cue with the 3rd pick of his draft.
Okay, so we want to build a bit of a balanced roster here, right? I got to move away from the forwards with my first 2 picks. So now we're going to slot in a defenseman. I'm going to move away from the recency side of thing, though. Let's go back to 2011. Do you guys remember what the hype train was? It was all about David Rundblad.
Okay.
Unbelievably.
That was my next pick.
Nice.
That was my next pick.
What a hype prospect. And did he ever end up playing games for Ottawa, or did he just get traded for Turris?
He had one amazing assist.
Yeah. Yeah,
Go ahead,
he went
Ross.
from his own goal line to the far blue line in stride. It was sick.
The hype videos coming out of Sweden when he was in the playoff run in the spring of 2011, like, that is a moment in time that if you experienced it, you're watching this like grainy video of these fans chanting his name, and you're like, we've got our franchise Swedish defenseman, we thought.
Henry, I'm going to go so far as to say that Magic, they called him Magic number 7, was the name of the highlight pack. It's one of the best highlight reels I've ever seen of a hockey player. He was toying with everybody. He was on breakaways. He was spinoramas at the blue line. He was finding guys' sticks across the seam, and they had no idea how it got there. It like bounced off them and in. It was ridiculous. I would recommend everybody open another tab in YouTube and type in Magic number 7, David Rundblad. That's a sick pick in 3rd round. I thought I was going to sneak it in as my 3rd round pick. That's a great pick. And I feel like getting Kyle Turris back for him too, you're like, oh boy, that might add a little lore and a little layer to that pick. So great pick. David Rundblad, again, not drafted by Ottawa, drafted by St. Louis. And then while I was at prom at the Ottawa War Museum, he was traded for the pick that became Vladimir Tarasenko, who ended up in Ottawa. 3 degrees of separation. Now I got to panic here because I was very sure that David Rundblad would be available to me. I'm between two picks here, boys. Do I go Pilsy style with a little bit of recency bias, or do I follow my heart? I'll follow my heart.
Yes.
Because this player, and there's a theme developing on my squad. But do you guys remember the hype when the Ottawa Senators won the college free agent sweepstakes for the opportunity to take from France Stéphane DaCosta?
Whew.
This guy was going to save us. He was unreal at college. 45 points in 33 games in back-to-back years, played 34 the year before. But he got to Ottawa and immediately sucked. No points in his first 4 games. 3 goals in 22 games the next year. 2 points in 9 games the following year. Went down to Binghamton. Was sick in Binghamton, over a point per game in his second year there. And then he said, you know what? I'm out. I'm going to the KHL, where he then became the player we thought he would be in the NHL. His first year in the KHL, he had 62 points in 46 games. And he's still playing in the KHL, almost a point per game guy last season, and has been basically his entire KHL career. He just could not figure it out in the NHL. And that's why Stéphane DaCosta, his biggest highlight in the NHL is getting blown up by Dion Phaneuf.
That's a good pick, Ross. I thought you were going to take the guy who I'm taking next, so I breathed a sigh of relief there. But this is a good pick. He is a KHL legend. He's played 482 games and has 433 points. Like, just
he's
insane.
Plus 102.
Yeah, so like he found his game over in Russia, and he's like the guy when it comes to France hockey. So yeah, this is a good pick. I was excited about him and thought he was going to do a lot better than he did in Ottawa and in the NHL.
The theme for those wondering of my picks is you must be under 5'10" to ride.
Nice. Yeah, Henry, what did you think about Stéphane DaCosta when he was coming up?
Oh, I will say, I think Ross, someone's got to check on this or fact check. I think he rang one off the post in his first game in that 4-game stint, right? Where he got pointless, but there was like a flash there. But yeah, totally just like a quad A player. Can't do it at the NHL, excels at the level below. I think we'll probably see him at the Olympics for France if they're in it, right? So,
true.
We'll
I just can't believe he didn't pan out. I'm a little skeptical of undersized players. If you don't know, I've been hurt before 3 times at least.
That's
fair. You're up.
DaCosta had 5 points in 3 Olympic game qualifying games. So he's their guy for sure.
He's 36 years old.
All right. So I'm going to take the first goalie of our draft. No goalies taken yet. And this one may surprise you guys, but if you can bring yourself back to the moment, I think you'll agree that this is a good pick. And I like the value here at the 3rd round. His light shone for so little that this may not play good in the graphic, but I'm sticking to my heart because, Ross, we've talked about overhyped prospects in the past, and this is always the guy I've mentioned, so I have to stick with my brand here.
Hold on. Before you announce it, do you have any idea who he's talking about, Henry? I don't.
I have a guess, but let's see.
Okay, go ahead.
So, in the era where nobody wants to play in Ottawa, it's so hard to get guys to choose Ottawa, whether it's free agents, trades, re-signing, everything like that.
Yep.
There's college players that have the opportunity when they're done college to choose who they want to sign with. And there was a guy that was in Boston College from 2012 to 2015, and he was the creme de la creme.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want
Boston University.
There you go.
Yep, my bad. Thank you. Boston University.
People can click his highlight at Boston University. Maybe you wouldn't hype him anymore.
Well, his last year, Ross, in 35
How about his last game?
I'm not talking about his last game. Last year, 35 games, 2.18 goals against, 927 save percentage, 25-4-4 record. And he's thinking, what NHL team do I want to go to? The Edmonton Oilers are calling, the New York Rangers are calling, the Vancouver Canucks are calling, the Ottawa Senators are calling. And Matt O'Connor says, nope, I'm going to the Ottawa Senators. And I remember being so fired up about this, Ross. I'm pretty sure we talked about it in our Sens Central Making Sense of the Sens days, because he debuted in 2015 in the home opener, Dave Cameron decides, you know what? I'm going to make a splash here. I'm putting this college kid in for the first game of this season up against the Montreal Canadiens. Now, he plays all right, but they do lose the game 3-1. And that would be the only NHL game Matt O'Connor ever sees. He is still playing, and this is why the France thing and college talk got me nervous, Ross, because Matt O'Connor is currently playing in France, I believe, the Ligue Magnus with Angers. So he's still doing his thing, but I just remember like winning that college free agency sweepstake. Felt like we won the Stanley Cup. I was giving everybody the middle finger on Twitter that was like, nobody wants to go to Ottawa. I was like, no, Matt O'Connor wants to come to Ottawa and he's going to be a star. One career NHL game played. Whoops.
Yeah. And he was bad in Belleville too. .895 save percentage in each of his 2 seasons there. And then he bounced around the ECHL for a bit and even played in Romania 2 years ago. So this guy loves hockey for sure. But that's a great pick, Bills. He completely slipped under my radar, but he was extremely hyped coming out of college.
I agree. This is the first pick that isn't on my cheat sheet I have here. I love that you got that, Ross. He played in Romania. It's like such a low league. It's not even on a hockey DB. You got to go to Elite Prospects to see it. You remember during like what was it? Mike Condon Insanity. There's that run. Matt O'Connor was backed up for like 25 straight. He backed up for like 2 months straight, and he never got into a game.
And ironically, Henry, he played in the home opener up against Mike Condon, who was on the Canadiens.
Crazy.
Wow. I like that. I like that pick, Pillsy. Good stuff. You got to one-up yourself because you're up again.
Okay. There's a couple ways I want to go here, but I think the ways I want to go will be better honorable mentions than they will be on the graphic. So I'm going to go with the bigger name here. The Ottawa Senators are terrible at drafting 9th overall. There's a couple guys on my list that are 9th overall, but I'm going to go with a big, rugged defenseman in 2009, Jared Cowan. Guys, huge defenseman, laying out massive hits throughout his early days. And we thought, okay, we've got our next big bruiser. This guy is going to be an absolute elite shutdown defenseman. And things didn't really go that way. Unfortunately, he struggled in his time in Ottawa and ended up being dumped off to the Leafs at the very end of things. He didn't even play a game with them, and then that was it. He was done. His career was over. But I just remember, obviously, his big shining moment was being a part of that line brawl up against the Montreal Canadiens in the playoffs where he shined. He dominated in that moment. But overall, just was not a guy that could hang in the NHL. And there's so many times I just remember face palming, being like, oh my God, what are we doing with Jared Cowan out here for so long? So Jared Cowan is going to be my final pick.
Another good injury what if story too. I'm pretty sure something happened to his hip when he was trying to tie his skates down in Binghamton, and just nothing was the same since then, right? So what could have been, man?
Oh, that's a sad story. What really kind of fired me up about him is it was when I was living in Toronto. He was probably 20 years old, trying to make the team out of junior. Might have been his first year pro, and he fought Dion Phaneuf in a preseason game and fed him. And I just remember yelling, I was like, that's our prospect beating up your captain. Let's go. Fired me up enough that I bought his jersey, which Pillsy now owns. So he probably just had to look in his closet to grab that idea to take Jared Cowan. But you got a solid pick. You went heavy into the kind of early 2010s era there with Lazar, Cowan, and a little bit later on, but then Matt O'Connor and Logan Brown. Those two probably more so in the same era as well, despite O'Connor being a little bit older doing the college route there. Okay, I'm up. Any other 5'10" prospects that I can take off my list here? Let's see. I'm going to go with a personal choice here. And Pillsy knows how I felt the day he was dealt. I thought
about going this way. I left
Jonathan Dahlen was like my favorite prospect that the Senators took. It was a second-round pick. They end up moving him for Alexandre Burrows. And I remember being so upset because I just said he's close to the NHL. He's going to make the jump and come right over from a point per game in Sweden and just be an NHLer right away. And he wasn't. He ended up playing in the AHL for 2 seasons. He actually had one decent year with the San Jose Sharks where he had 22 points, which for him was decent considering that's the only NHL action he ever got. But like when he was a prospect, he like Henry, you're posting videos of this guy all the time. You were probably the reason why I was so upset when Jonathan Dahlen got traded.
He was getting like 5 points a game with Timrå in the whatever league there. I think they were in the second division at the time.
He had 25 goals and 44 points in 45 games.
I was big mad when he got traded for Burrows, hands up for sure. And I lost it on Twitter for a bit there for sure.
Early Pillsy made me delete tweets. That's one of maybe the only time that the Pillsy's like, dude, you got to take this off the internet.
Yeah, I had to rein in your social media access there for a little bit. Yes.
Yeah, and he was sick the World Juniors too that year. I remember he had 5 goals in 7 games, 6 points with Sweden. Like, I mean, like he was just a sick player. Like he was the captain of Timrå for a season. He had 71 points in 45 games. And then 22 points in 15 games and helped them qualify to the SHL. And he's been there the last 3 years and still putting up good numbers. These guys, like, they're all good hockey players, which would merit the hype that they got at one point of their career, but they just could not get it to work at the NHL level. It's the hardest league in the world for a reason. And Jonathan Dahlen will be my final pick. And he is 6 feet on the dot. So he broke the glass barrier.
No way. I thought he was definitely under 6. So
tippy toes again. They measure them on their skates.
Okay, well, let's see. So to round us off, I was really hoping to get Dahlen there at the end.
Oh, you were thinking of him?
Absolutely, yeah.
Nice.
That's who I had penned in here. So I'll
awesome.
Scratch it out, and we'll go with a guy who was not drafted by the Sens, who was acquired after having a cup of coffee in the NHL, who had a great preseason and got looks on the first line. This is Nikita Filatov.
Yes.
Dude, look, this guy... Again, this is another. I'm going away from the recency, not too far. I think he had a hat trick with the Blue Jackets right after, like in his first NHL, one of his first few games. Was like a monster at the World Juniors, captain of Team Russia, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, we thought he played with Spezza on the first line. Spezza, Greening, Filatov, I think.
Sick line,
right? And it just he got chances. And it just didn't end up working out. But man, I thought that was a draft day. That was a 3rd round pick draft day deal that I thought Brian Murray masterclass at the time. Oh,
yeah, we felt like it was like a we can fix you type situation because he had 0 goals in 23 NHL games the year before. He did have a hat trick in his 6th career NHL game with Columbus, but a 6th overall pick. He was a highly touted prospect, same draft as Erik Karlsson. And we're like, this guy is going to come in and score 30 goals. I had no doubt in my mind that he was an offensive juggernaut. And then the quote came out that Philly doesn't do rebounds. And that's an important part of scoring in the NHL, which is why he played in Russia for the last 6 seasons. He even just left the organization mid-season. Like he got sent down after 9 NHL games, played 15 with Bingo, and then said, you know what? Stiska's calling me. I'm going to Moscow. And that was that. Never to be seen in North America again.
That's a great pick. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got lore. And funny enough, Henry, because you were saying you were close to taking Dahlen, I was close to taking Filatov. It was between the two. So I like we're on the same wavelength with that one. But Filatov was the one that taught me that you can't always fix other teams' problems, even when it's like another part of it too was it was Columbus, right? You're like, oh, he's coming from it's just a bad situation there. That's all it is, and he'll be great. He had 47 points and 24 goals with Moscow, their junior team, the year before he came over. Like he was ridiculous. So that's a great pick. I like that. And Henry, you had the 1st overall pick, so why don't you go through your team? We all will, and then we'll hit some honorable mentions.
Yeah, for sure. So I think it got a nice mix of some new and some old, a little forward heavy, right? But Alex Daigle, Colin White, David Rundblad, Nikita Filatov. I'm pleased with this lineup, right? I love that Pilsy got a goalie. It's a goalie-friendly show, but I think I did a respectable draft here.
Rundblad in the third round popped off the page to me with your team. I went with Eric Brandstrom, the franchise, second overall, first for me. Then I went with Vitaly Abramov. So I went the franchise and then Abracadabramov, followed by Stefan DaCosta and Jonathan Dolan with my fourth pick.
I kicked things off with Logan Brown, then Curtis Lazar, Matt O'Connor, the only goalie of the draft, and Jared Cowan. So, yeah, I think I got a good mix with enough recency bias that people should know these guys. The Matt O'Connor one, I think, might be too much of a deep cut, but I'm hoping the real ones know and remember how hyped up that was. If you don't mind, I'm going to rip off some of my honorable mentions. Then I'm going to jet out of here. I got to go, guys, and I'll let you guys tie a bow on this and wrap the show up. But some honorable mentions I thought about going Brian Lee, also a 9th overall pick, because that was just crazy to take him, and then Kopitar taken after. And another guy I thought of putting here, well, there's two that finish out my list here. Johnny Tyconic. Henry, I think you can meet me on this one. He was supposed to be JVD's D partner. Pierre Dorian was like, I'm so smart. Why don't I just draft these two defensemen that play together, and they'll play defense as a pair together in the NHL for the rest of their days for the Ottawa Senators. That didn't work out. And then finally, this one would not have played on the graphic, but it's a wild story. The only player that I'm aware of that has been drafted by the same team twice, Mathieu Chouinard. Did I pronounce that right, Ross?
Yeah.
So this guy was a goalie drafted by the Sens, 15th overall in 1998. They couldn't agree to a deal. So he's like, you know what? I just want a fresh start. I just want to move on. I'm going to go back into the draft in 2000. And the Sens draft him again, this time 45th overall. He never played a game for the Sens, only 4 with Bingo. But I was reading an article that he believes there was some collusion, and he believed the Sens told teams in the second draft, don't take him. This is our guy. We're going to take him. And kind of maybe a little backdoor deals were made so other teams wouldn't take him. And that must have been the worst moment ever for that poor guy, being like, no, I did this to get away from you guys, and you drafted me again. So, I mean, there's got to be hype for a prospect if he was drafted twice by the same team. So I thought that would have been a good one, but would not have played on the graphic. So yeah, those are my honorable mentions. I got to run here, boys. A great draft by all of you. Henry, you lived up to your expectation. I think you had a great draft. Ross, well done as well. I'm just going to be friendly here. I'm a gracious winner and champion. So we'll see if you guys can take down the champ here.
All right, we will see. There goes Brandon Piller. And with that, Henry, I don't know if I have any other goalies that I even thought of for this.
Yeah, my list, I have a handful of names here that we haven't talked about, but none of them are goalies.
Crazy that Pilsy didn't even talk about Rudolph Balcers at all.
That literally, beside it, I said brackets, Pilsy fave, Rudy Balcers, right?
I thought he was going to be a first-round pick. I legitimately thought he was going to take him when he said that, oh, this guy in Belleville, he did a lot, but nope.
Do you remember the original Corsi God on the Sens on the back end? Someone that Twitter loved and just couldn't get in the lineup?
Oh, Patrick Weirkoch.
That was one that I thought could have played well.
That could have played for sure. I was going to say Chris Campoli for a second. I think that was pre-analytics even, but another puck mover that quickly wore out his welcome. There was a couple of guys that I was like maybe considering, but I don't really want to go there yet. But like the Tom Bomb for me, Lassie Thompson, he was a guy that I considered a little bit. And another one was Roby Arventi, just because their season started before the draft and he was on an absolute heater right around the draft, and it continued on. The Old English Pub, right? In Tapper or wherever he was playing there, Eels.
Yep.
And they both played together in Eels. It was Thompson and Yarventi. I was like, these guys are going to be together forever.
Yarventi was scoring a goal a game. It was crazy, right? Yeah, the old Irish pub.
All one-timers too.
So sick.
Such a good one-timer. Oh man, yeah, that's tough. Any other names on your list there, Henry?
A couple I thought about. I don't think they would have made it, but I had Matt Pumple on there, a first rounder who didn't work out. Brandon Bochenski after that hat trick in the preseason the 1 year. This is like old. This is
Bochenski would have played.
Bochenski could have played, and one more I'll give is Alexei Kaigorodov. I don't know if you remember that, but
Is that who they traded for Mike Comrie, or is that someone else?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I was at his NHL debut. It was like, this guy finally agreed to come to North America from Russia. And like looking back his stats, he was like not even a point a game player, but he had hype. He definitely had hype. And guy just like floated around out there, got traded to Phoenix, and I think hopped on the next flight back to Russia. Didn't even go there.
Yeah. Well, we're going to hop on the next flight to the cottage, man. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Thanks for doing this, man. This was great.
It was an honor. Thanks so much. I had a ton of fun.
All right. Well, we'll see what the voters decide. That's Henry Brown. You can find him on social media at Sens Prospects. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. Thank you for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. This has been another episode of the Ring of Honor, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.